I hate to say it. Like, I really hate to concede this because don't get it twisted. I am one of the LeBron stans or LeBron fans, as you'd say. I'm not a LeBron sexual, you know what I'm saying? That's some other people, but I am a big LeBron James fan. But every time I think this guy doesn't prove that he's the GOAT, he does it again. Ladies and gentlemen, for those of you that are unaware, over Thursday and Friday, there was a Fanatics Fest in New York City where basically part of the event was LeBron James and Tyrese Haliburton were going to host a live podcast between the two of them, which makes a little bit of sense because Tyrese did go on LeBron's podcast, and it's just one of those things whereby at this very moment in time, those are two guys in the NBA who seem to drive up a bit of hype. Now, during the duration of this podcast, Tyrese Haliburton obviously had to mention LeBron's free agency status because right now, that is the biggest thing in the NBA. I mean, even Adam Silver has come out and basically said he needs to know where LeBron's going because scheduling needs to take place. Because again, if LeBron is still playing this year, which he should be, he will be playing on Christmas Day, in which case Adam Silver needs to know which team to put up on Christmas Day. And in this live podcast, Tyrese Haliburton obviously made a joke about LeBron possibly coming to Indiana. LeBron laughed it off. And also at the same time made a joke that this was LeBron's 76th year within the NBA because obviously one of the teams that LeBron is highly mentioned with at the moment happens to be the growing and my personal favorites for winning the title this year, Philadelphia 76ers. Now, among some other teams that were obviously in the race, you know, I'll give you a little bit of a tidbit of an Easter egg. If you go on the ESPN website right now and you basically go team by team in regards to looking for LeBron James mentions within their news, you'll notice that LeBron is only mentioned for the Lakers, who he's obviously stated he's leaving, the Cleveland Cavaliers, who are obviously a team pursuing him, Philadelphia 76ers, as we said, who even whilst live on the podcast, he did mention trust the process a few times, which had people making oohs and ahs. But you got to remember, LeBron is a big media personality. He knows that what he said is broken down by people, i.e., look at me. You know what I'm saying? I'm not breaking down what he said, but he knows that people will break that down. And then obviously the Miami Heat, who are another team after him. And lastly but not least, the Golden State Warriors. Now, in this video, we're quickly going to talk about all four of these scenarios and the main reason they're after LeBron, as well as what they gain from LeBron, as well as what does he. So to kick things off with, let's start with the least likely team, in my personal opinion, the Cleveland Cavaliers. Now, James Harden has openly been out here talking about he'd love to play with LeBron, which I ain't gonna lie to you, James, that is not gonna save you and your playoff ability. You will still be a bum through and through when it comes to playoffs when you're highly needed. But this team is highly mentioned within LeBron's choices of possible teams because this is year number 24 for LeBron, I believe, in which case most players don't play this long. This is the longest we've seen someone play because, majority of people would have been retired by now, in which case we'd have just been chilling, you know. So the anticipation of him going to the Cavaliers is along the lines of everyone expects him to go back home and retire as a Cleveland Cavalier. So that's why the Cavs are being mentioned, because there is the suspicion that this might be LeBron's last 2 years in the league, if not his last year. So obviously him going home on a contract would make a lot of sense. Now, the reason this is most likely not to be true, firstly, LeBron might obviously want to retire at home, but he did win his home a championship, in which case him retiring there wouldn't be the greatest deal in the world. If anything, he could possibly sign a 10-day contract on the back end of another contract. And then number two, LeBron's never come out and said he wants to play with James Harden and Donovan Mitchell that badly. And if he's chasing ring number 6, this, out of all possible situations available outside of the Warriors, of course, would be the worst case scenario. So that's why these guys are my list favorite to land LeBron. I know if you go on Polymarket or something, they will mention references to percentages. But for me, I say the odds of the Cavaliers actually signing LeBron sit somewhere at about 5% if everything goes wrong. Now, the next team that I believe is third in possible landing locations for LeBron, I want to say, it hurts me so bad. I want to say the Golden State Warriors, but it's the Miami Heat. I'm a big Miami Heat fan. I've been watching it through and through. I've suffered through drafting Wade, the joys of that, then getting the big three, the joys of that, and then obviously the little sad situations in between. But I'd love to say we have the second best option of getting LeBron, but low-key, we're third. Okay, we are third. Now, the big draw in for the Heat is LeBron obviously has played in Miami before. Did he have some issues in Miami? Yeah, he had an issue where he butted heads with Pat Riley, and the fact that LeBron is LeBron. He likes things done a specific way, and Pat Riley likes things done another way. So it's that whole thing of immovable object meets I forgot what the phrasing is, but simply put, it's two people who are stern in their ways, in which case they weren't willing to work together. However, at this point in LeBron's career, this might be the best situation for him. At the age of 42, obviously LeBron will not be able to do everything that he used to be able to do physically, in which case he will need to be working in a system that allows a lot of play from not only 1 to 5, but it's also leaning on his bench. And Miami, no matter how not deep our bench has looked over the seasons, the one thing you'll know is the Heat culture, in which case is players being in the best shape they possibly can be and running through drills as excessively as they can, has allowed for a lot of deep playoff runs. And this go around, he wouldn't be alone. Just like the last time he was in Miami, he would have his own version of a big three. Unfortunately, it wouldn't be as diverse as it was with Bosh and Wade, because Wade allowed the ability of having a guard on the floor and Bosh was a big man. So it allowed that sort of big three combination of you have each need filled out. Here, unfortunately, it would be 2 forwards and the center, which it could still cause problems for teams, mainly because both Giannis and LeBron do have a bit of a point forward mentality and a point forward play style, which benefits from that. So this is a situation where, in joining the Heat, LeBron would be competing for a ring. He would find himself back in that situation where he could get number 6 to tie Michael Jordan. But again, I say this is his third most likely option just because it isn't his best shot at winning. He does love Giannis's game in regards of thinking of him highly as a player, but he's never mentioned wanting to play with Giannis because, again, Giannis has LeBron's play style from when LeBron first entered the league and refused to shoot a lot. But then obviously once LeBron made his way to Miami, he developed his mid-range jumper, and obviously later on when he moved back to the Cavs, we saw him starting to pick up on shooting his 3-point jump shot. So it doesn't make sense for him to want to play with Giannis. And again, the two of them in the same front court, it's a strong front court, but because of how the Heat lack severe depth and at the point guard position don't necessarily have one of the best, it is a situation whereby it doesn't allow him the best opportunity to win, and it isn't the destination where he's really eagerly wanted to play. Like when he was younger, he wanted to play in Miami, but now it makes no sense for him as a growing family man. If anything, he would want to stay away from Miami just for the sake of his household. But let's get into where I believe his second best option to land is, which is the Golden State Warriors. Now, a lot of people have been mentioning the fact that they believe that the Warriors are a situation that he's going to find himself in because, again, LeBron has always referenced the fact that he's always wanted to play alongside Steph Curry. And it makes a lot of sense. If you're someone who plays basketball generally and you are good, you'll notice you're good at one or something, right? And when I say good at them, I mean it this way. You can be really good at everything you do on the floor, but the thing is you have that one key skill that you're keyed in on. When it comes to me, I won't lie. You know what I'm saying? Shooting has never been my strong suit. Everything else I can do for you. Playmaking and defending, I am your go-to. But yeah, so as someone who plays like that, the one thing I really love or I really like doing is playing with shooters. And it makes sense why someone like LeBron, not to compare myself to the man, we're not close, but someone like LeBron would love to play with Steph Curry. This is a situation where he gets to play in a system whereby the Warriors' offense is basically heave threes, heave threes, heave threes. And for someone like LeBron, whose game plays a lot around being in the mid-range to generally drive into the basket, having dudes on the floor whose main ability is shooting threes plays you very well. Because even when we saw him play against the Rockets, he did have some shooting on the floor, but it also caused a little bit of issues for him in situations where he didn't, because it does allow for help defenders to play a little bit of help, but at the same time, the fact that you know someone is over there in the help position does stunt you in regards of what you can get to. Now, obviously, the only issue he does have in joining the Warriors is, first off, they are quite lacking in regards of depth. I mean, in their starting lineup, they're kind of solid, and then obviously they've got DeAnthony Melton coming off the bench and Guy Santos coming off the bench with Al Horford, but they are lacking in regards of they don't have as much talent as any of the other teams. Like, in my personal opinion, they provide the worst chance of winning, unlike any of the other teams. The only reason to go here would be the Steph call out, but again, maybe that's what LeBron wants, because at this point in age in his career, winning a 6th ring, he won't win it being the guy. He'll more likely winning it being number 2 or 3, if anything, number 3 if he goes to any of the title contenders. So it wouldn't help him in the GOAT chase, but it's one of those ones whereby if he just wants a ring, then hey, going to Golden State doesn't make the most sense. It only makes sense to go with Steph, which is why I say it's his second best option, because if he doesn't go to the number 1, he's going there. Now, ironically, as I said, the name of the video is Should LeBron James Trust the Process? And in my personal opinion, hell yeah. Alright, listen, if LeBron wants to achieve what people thought he might never touch, which is getting that 6th ring to match Michael Jordan. Yes, he wouldn't have been the man on his team for the sixth one the same way Jordan was, but either way, he'd have the scoring title. He'd beat Jordan in number of seasons played. He wouldn't beat him on the points per game average, but he'd beat him in every other statistical measure because LeBron's a better three-point shooter just because of the volume that you're allowed to shoot nowadays, as well as LeBron is generally a better playmaker, rebounder. Defensively, it's up in the air. The only reason I say it's up in the air is because people will tell you Jordan was a mean man on defense. But remember, when you've got someone like Scottie Pippen on the floor as well, it makes it a little easier to play defense when you know you got that little safety as well as Dennis Rodman underneath. Now, the reason I say that 76ers are LeBron's number one landing option are Tyrese Maxey, VJ Edgecombe, Jaylen Brown, and a maybe healthy Joel Embiid. If Joel Embiid is healthy, this team 100% wins it all. If Joel Embiid is unhealthy, this team most likely still wins it all. They definitely win the East because when you look at it pound for pound, last year, a few weeks ago or a couple months ago when I was predicting the fact that the Knicks would win, I said the big key factor was the 76ers took out the Celtics. And the reason I say that is the Knicks played to their strengths this past season. Like in the year before where we were all disappointed by their play style, it was because, again, everyone called out Jalen Brunson for not passing, but I don't put that on him more. I put it more on playing in a scheme that doesn't make sense. The Knicks have a lot of size on their team, and they elected last season to play through Jalen Brunson majority of the time rather than splitting it into a hybrid formation of half of the time play through the fact that you win by size and the other half of the time play through your number one guy. Now, when the 76ers knocked out the Celtics this year, obviously that meant that the Knicks had size on everyone remaining in the contest in the Eastern Conference. And as we saw, they used that to their advantage. Now, the 76ers themselves do have size, but amongst their key players, they need to play both Tyrese Maxey and VJ Edgecombe, in which case means a small front backcourt. And at the same time, when they were playing at the wings, they obviously had the likes of Quentin Grimes, Paul George, and etc., but that didn't provide as much firepower as you needed. Now, with the previous acquisition of Jaylen Brown, who even on Speedstream said himself, LeBron come to Philly, this allows the 76ers to have a size advantage they've never had before. And not only that, this takes a lot of the working load off of LeBron and Jaylen Brown. It basically spreads it to the point whereby if this team happens, like low-key, David Stern might roll in his grave just because he would have vetoed a trade possibility of this happening. Because this would be the ultimate team in the fact that 1 to 5, you've got all-star players who will definitely have multiple all-star appearances. 1 to 5, you've got a few dudes who've won a finals MVP or an MVP. Again, winning-wise, if LeBron wants a sixth ring, this is the best situation. In my personal opinion, this is the best situation for him overall. Would I love for him to come to Miami? Yeah. Would we win the East? I'm not too sure because when we run into the 76ers, it's going to be a bit of a tough situation. And at that point, I'm hoping LeBron and Giannis have figured out the game whereby you do this, I do that, they can't stop us. And I hope you do this means Giannis, you drive, LeBron, you spot up, and then on occasion we keep switch popping. Let's see what they do. Whoever they match up small against us, we punish them. But again, it would still be a hard ask for them to win out the East, let alone win out the title. But if he went to Philly, yeah, man, wrap up the league. So in my personal opinion, LeBron James should trust the process. The process is the best option for him. And if I'm a Philly fan right now, this would be the icing on the cake of trusting the process over the many years that you have. Because if you remember when you drafted Ben Simmons, everyone kept going, he's basically LeBron James without a jumper. Now the funny part is, you can finally get LeBron James and finish the process. So, hey, LeBron, trust the process. To everybody that's been watching the video, do me a favor. If you enjoyed today's video and you want to see more content like it, hit that like button. If you're new to the channel and you haven't done so yet, hit that subscribe button and turn post notifications on. And lastly, but not least, do me a favor, down below in the comment section, let me know, where do you think LeBron is ending up? Is it one of the 4 places I named? Or is it somewhere else? I'll catch you guys in the comments to see what you say. It's been your boy Alvin Mike from L.T.A. Deuces.